It is so hard for me to believe that it's Sunday again. It's so hard for me to believe that it's been 2 weeks since the last stream. I feel like within the past year, maybe year and a half, time has been going by really quick. Is it just me? Is anyone else feeling this too? And I've heard that happens when you get older. As you get older, time starts to seem to pass faster. But it's been especially true for me within the past couple of years. And I know I've had a lot on my plate with school and the community and my other projects and stuff, but it just seems to be going by so fast that I feel like I was just on here 2 days ago. So happy Sunday to everyone that is joining me. Those of you that are new, those of you that have been here since the beginning, welcome or welcome back. I'll wait for a minute to see who's dropping by. I know I thought I was a minute early. I guess I was goofing off a little bit preparing. Erin, you're first. How often does that happen? I was beginning to wonder if I was just calling into the void. Second, David's here. Warrior Poet. Hi, Charles. Whew, I'm not just talking to myself. I mean, I do that all the time anyway, but it gets really scary when you answer yourself. Hey, Spencer. So if this is your first time, this is just a stream I do every couple of weeks so we can check in with where we are with our mental health, be it the good, bad, and crazy, as I always say, share our wins, share our struggles, and just come together and support each other and hold space for each other. Hello, Renee. Hello, Creations. Ashley. Now everybody's here. The gang is showing up. Oh, I forgot to open my email. So I'm really excited. I get more and more excited, I think, each stream to talk about the things that we've been doing with the community and with the outreach and with the pledges and stuff. Oh my God, Mick, you can't do that already. It's only scary if you lose an argument to yourself. That has happened. I'm just going to write on a Post-it. I know that I'm totally old school. I've had several people ask me why I don't use StreamYard so that I can track the pledges and not have to write it down like we're stuck in 1998. But let's be real. If you couldn't tell by the NSYNC dolls, I'm absolutely stuck in 1998. I'm not great with technology, so I've tried StreamYard and I kept having issues with it. So I'm just going to stick with being old school for the time being until I can figure that out, until I can have someone help me. But all pledges go toward my mental health outreach. And like I said, I'm super excited to talk about what has been going on in the last couple of weeks. But if you want to pledge, the goal is $250 during the stream. You can use a super chat or super sticker function that will highlight your message. It gets kind of crazy in here, so it's also a good way if you just want me to see your message to do that. If you make a bigger pledge, please use my PayPal or Venmo, which is in the description of the streams, to do so. And I will see that pop up over here, and I'll add that to the total, and then we'll see how close we get to the goal. But so in the last couple of weeks, there was an SA survivor that came to me here in the community, and he was 17. He is 17, and he was really struggling because his father is very, very abusive, and he didn't know what to do because he's a minor. And I managed to get him connected with another community member here that happened to be in the same town. And that community member helped him not only get to a safe place away from home and away from the situation after dealing with the local authorities, but helped as of Thursday file emancipation papers, official emancipation papers, to help legally get him out of that situation. He's in a safe place right now. And we were able to use the pledges from the last stream to help him get some necessities and mental health tools like journals and books and stuff. So he has something to focus on while he's in this transitionary period, and connected him with a local therapist who's offering highly discounted sessions for this situation, because the therapist, I kid you not, happens to watch the channel. So if you're on here, thank you very much. I don't know if they're okay with me saying the names, so I won't say any names, but thank you so very much for offering that. That blew my mind that we just happened to all kind of fit those pieces together, that there happened to be a therapist in that area, that there happened to be a community member in that area that could help him get out of the situation. So it was really awesome. I got a discounted session package from that therapist for him. So he has the things that he needs legally and mental health wise and just logistically in the day-to-day life to be able to transition as smoothly as possible out of a really bad situation. So thank you guys. That is where your pledges have been going, or where the pledges went from the last couple of weeks. Thank you, Mick. Mick's gonna single-handedly knock us out of the park right out the gate. I love you, Mick. Thank you so much. Mick says, why I give to you, Miss Amanda. I know it will go do some good. And that's a big priority for me, is because I volunteered a lot with different organizations over the years because I wanted to make a difference, right? I wanted to help. But organizations, they have so much overhead and they have all these marketing things and whatnot. So a lot of the money isn't going to where you think it's going. And it's the same with all these political campaigns and stuff. Even when it's faith-based stuff, the money's not going directly to people. There's all these other little costs that have to be paid before the people that they're purporting to help might get pennies on the dollar of that. And I am really adamant about every dime that I get. I know that YouTube takes a chunk, but if you send through, say, PayPal or whatever, every dime that I personally get that isn't taken out, that there isn't that percentage taken out, all of that goes toward the outreach. So I'm not taking overhead costs. I'm not paying myself. I'm not doing any of that. It all goes directly toward the people that need help. And that's why I wanted to do this, opposed to raising money for, say, a charity or something. I want to find people that I can practically help with their mental health. So that way I know what is going on. And I actually have had this brought up a few times over the past couple of months. So I guess I wasn't clear enough about this, but I do vet people. I do vet the situations. I don't just send money to people. I very much vet the situations. If it's for, say, therapy or something, I'll pay the therapist directly. Or if it's for specific things, I will buy those things directly and have it sent to them. So I'm not sending people money specifically. So I understand that we have to be careful, and unfortunately we have to kind of question everything. And I do want to assure you guys that I do vet people in their situations. Tony, Joshua, Mike, hello. Yes, I'm doing fantastic. Mick, I love you dearly, but your comments about the dolls actually brings me to a point I wanted to make this week. So I want to drop a little bit of truth tea, and I want to have a conversation with you guys about something that came up this week that kind of ties into what Mick is saying. Now, let me begin by saying I love you, Mick, and I know that you love me, and I know you support the channel, and I know that you don't mean any harm in saying things like that. With that being said, I know that men and women communicate differently, right? And this came up last week during a conversation I was having with someone close to me, with a friend of mine who was saying similar things. And men tend to have that banter between friends where they mock each other and they make fun of each other and stuff. And I pride myself in kind of being able to be one of the boys, right? And being able to talk about that and to be able to laugh it off. And people make fun of me for everything. They'll make fun of me for the kitty ears. They'll make fun of me for my clothes. They'll make fun of me for a lot of things. But I have to be honest that when people make fun of certain things, it really hurts. And not hurts in a way like I'm getting offended about it, but NSYNC, for example. NSYNC is something that has been there for me since my teen years. They're just a source of joy and just ecstasy and just this over-the-top teeny bopper energy, right? And my 13-year-old self still inside gets very, very defensive about my boys. And I think that it's because they represent this innocence to me. They represent this time when I could just be myself and I could just get really giddy, and people didn't look at me and raise their eyebrow and go, "Are you right over there?" Because it was kind of normal. It was kind of on par for my age range at the time. But I still do get very defensive about NSYNC specifically. And there are times when people will try to poke fun of me about it, and I legitimately get upset, and not because I'm upset with you, Mick, or with my friend who was saying this, or anybody else that's made this joke. It's just that I immediately go back to that time of being 13 where it's no, that's mine. And you're trying to attack something that's very special to me. Again, I know that you're not actually attacking it. I know that this is just a way of being playful, especially for men. But the reason I wanted to bring this up isn't to call you out, Nick, or to call my friend out that was talking about this, but to say that, again, people can communicate differently, right? You don't know what you don't know. You didn't know that about me, right? And not everyone thinks or communicates or feels the same. And I'm bringing this up because I know that you guys care about me, and I know that you care about my well-being and my mental health. And there's some anxiety in reaching out to my friend about that. There's some anxiety, I'm not going to lie right now, in saying this out loud. But I know that my friend and I, we have a really healthy friendship, and me and you, Mick, we have a healthy relationship here. I think that it's really important that we can say, hey, that's not funny to me, or that's kind of hurtful to me, or that's bothering me, because a huge part of mental health is about boundaries and about positive communication. So, as I said, while I can very much be one of the guys and shrug off a lot of the mocking and stuff, the two things that really get to me and that can make my teenage claws come out a little bit is NSYNC, and also veganism. That one bothers me because when I first went vegan, when I first went vegetarian, actually. When I first went vegetarian, I was so excited to share this with people because I thought I'm wanting to help, I'm wanting to do good. And I wasn't looking at other people saying, you're bad. I was just saying, I'm wanting to share this new thing with you that I learned about. And I was shot down so hard. I was ridiculed and mocked so hard. People were so literally downright cruel to me, actually, that it just was one of those moments that really affected the way I perceive humanity. I know that might sound really extreme, but it really made me feel like I was being torn down just for wanting to do good, for wanting to be excited about something that they might not have agreed with. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but again, we don't know what we don't know, and I think it's important to communicate, right? So I hope, Nick, that you still love me after all of that. I hope that you can hold space for me. And I'm saying that because a few other people had been doing that too, and it's just one of those things I get really defensive about. Those are my boys, and I love my boys, and I know that we love different genres of music. I know that you might not like NSYNC, I might not like some of your music. That's totally cool, and that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us a community, is I want to be able to share that with you, and I want you to be able to share with me. So thank you for holding space for my little side tangent there. David, our goal this week is 250. So David just did 25. Yes. Yes, that puts us halfway. You're making me math too early. I started to say too early in the day. It's 4:15. You're making me math, period, end of sentence. And I'm not great at that. I'm not super great at that. Master Ganja, hello. RRM Senior. I love that everybody's checking in. Nick says, don't feel anxious. I understand. I will leave them alone. We're all good. See, this is what healthy positive communication is we should feel okay when we say, hey, this hurts my feelings, or we're saying, hey, that's my boundary, or we're saying, hey, I really just don't like this specific thing that you're doing. Can we talk about this? That's healthy communication. I love Mick. Nothing bad to say about Mick. Nick has nothing bad to say about me. It's just we communicate in a healthy way. And I'm actually really glad we just got to do that live on stream, that we got to show what it's like to express ourselves in a positive, healthy way. Christopher says, this is to help with the mental health outreach. And also, fun fact, that the NSYNC song Bye 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 was featured in the new Deadpool movie. I literally went to see the movie specifically for that. So thank you very much. Christopher just pledged 75. My son actually had come to me and said that He really wanted to go see the new Deadpool Wolverine movie, and I already knew that it was in the beginning because of Epic Voice Guy from the Honest Trailer channel. Him and I are friends, so he had posted something about it. He posted that NSYNC was at the premiere for the movie, and I immediately texted him and said, bro, if you were at that premiere and you did not immediately call me so I could jump on the first flight to Los Angeles, I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna freak out on you. I love you, but I'm gonna freak out on you. And he said, no, I wasn't there. I was just posting the picture to, you know, support the movie and support them, because he was involved in the movie in other ways. But that's how I knew that they were in the movie. So yes, I was very excited, although the dance isn't completely spot on. It was pretty awesome to see that. And I'm just squealing and screaming. And actually, it's been really amazing for me for the last year, because I've been able to tap into that energy, to tap into that time of my life, because NSYNC has released 2 new songs. There's talks of a tour. Bye 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 is actually, last I looked, was 18 in the charts, number 18 in the charts right now. And it's just, man, yes, I'm going back to 1998 in some way. You can see my energy is just talking about it. I promise I did not just down a whole entire take of Red Bull. You say NSYNC and I am there. I swear they could sing an IKEA instruction manual to me. They could sing me my Miranda rights and I would just be squealing and crying and completely over the moon. Sonic Youth says, honesty is key. People can't change their ways if you don't tell them what's harmful to you. And it's not even necessarily that it's harmful per se. It's just one of those things that I kind of stuck in my 13-year-old ways with. And it's just something that's really important to me. I actually, fun fact, ended a date once because the person said that Linkin Park sucked. And again, I don't care if you like a different genre of music. I don't care if you dislike my genre of music. Y'all can dislike NSYNC all you want. You guys can dislike Linkin Park all you want. But to straight out say that someone else's band or book or movie or whatever they're passionate about sucks is just really... I know that sometimes it's joking, but if you're saying that seriously, it's really disrespectful. And it's just really... It's attacking them for no reason, because you're saying this thing that you like, that is a part of you, sucks and is terrible. And they can internalize that. I know that I, in a way, internalize that because I'm saying, well, if you think Linkin Park or NSYNC sucks, then you must think I suck in some way because they're such a big part of me. So I take it super personally. I'm curious, do you guys have things like this that you're very protective of, other obviously than family and things like that? Do you have things that you're really protective of that you're just... no, you can't talk crap about my band or my movie or my people, you know? I'm curious what you guys get defensive about. David says, this enough to get Amanda to sing happy birthday to Ryan Bearmy. You know I was going to do that anyway. We just hadn't got there yet. But yes, I'm so excited. I did remember that it was Ryan's birthday weekend. So happy birthday, Ryan. I hope that you are having an amazing weekend celebrating another year around. I love that. Get a new drinking cup. Yes, I got a new drinking cup, David. I love that we can celebrate with each other. And I look at birthdays as kind of a time to celebrate my survival, because I made it to another year. So big congratulations, Ryan, for making it to another year. So let's all sing for Ryan. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ryan. Happy birthday to you. Mwah. We are all here. We've all got your back. There are so many messages. I'm so sorry that I'm not keeping up as well as I should be. David says, I don't stand for people going after Miss Amanda. I would not stand for anybody being hateful or nasty to any of you either, because we're family. And I know that parasocial relationships are a very interesting dynamic. It's a very interesting thing, but in a way, I do get just as defensive for some of my celebrities as I do, my friends and stuff, just because they've been there with me through so much and been there with me for so much. With that being said, I'm not the type of person that can't see when they do something wrong. I know that Justin had the drinking and driving incident a few weeks ago, and people kept messaging me and asking me what I thought of it. And I didn't really want to speak out about it on the channel or anything, but I can definitely say, hey, that was a really poor decision and that could have hurt a lot of people. And I disagree with him. I love NSYNC, I do, but I disagree with Justin's decision to do that. And I still think it was wrong, and I'm not going to defend him for that. I think that he should face the consequences like everyone else. Don just says, haven't had a drop in 21 years. Love it. Early snaps. We haven't done our good news story yet. You had my energy all over the place that I didn't get to do my good news story yet. So, where did my story go? Okay. So, paralyzed man sets off to cycle entire length of Britain on a motorized bike controlled by his chin. A 47-year-old paralyzed man hopes to become the first person to cycle the entire 1,000-mile length of Britain using a motorized bike controlled by his chin. Andy Walker set off on his epic voyage from Land's End today in a specially made quad cycle with the goal of arriving at John O'Groats in 2 weeks, and he's raising thousands for a charity involved in motor neuron disease, or MND, an incurable brain condition. The ex-competitive swimmer was 28 when he suffered a spinal cord injury after hitting a rock as he dove into the sea from Goa, India. So he's 47 now, so it's been almost 20 years. He was left paralyzed from the neck down, and local doctors gave him a 1% chance of survival. Wow. But he refused to give up. He underwent a major operation at a hospital specializing in spinal injuries in Delhi, and was later flown back to England, where he spent a further 8 months at Sheffield Northern Hospital. Since my accident, I've had absolute conviction and determination to lead a full and rewarding life, said Walker. Taking on these extreme challenges helps me continue to live my dream and make a difference to other people. Andy previously rode 350 miles across Kenya on a motorized quad bike and says he's motivated to complete these extreme charity challenges to transform the lives of others. This will be physically and mentally tough for me, but I'll be able to get through it with the support of my friends and family, and knowing the money I raise will help transform the lives of so many people. And I don't think it's just the money he is raising. The reason I chose this story is because I think it's a really important reminder that we all have limitations, right? Some of us are neurodivergent. Some of us might have physical limitations. We might have financial limitations, but there's always ways to go after your dreams. There's always ways to do something. It might not be exactly how you'd imagined it in your mind, but there's always ways to do something. And I think that this is a beautiful reminder of that maybe he's not traveling in the way he once dreamed of. Maybe he's not doing the same sorts of activities that he would have been doing had he not had this accident, but he didn't let this accident define him. He didn't let it just put a halt on his life. He didn't sit around feeling sorry for himself, saying, oh, well, I guess I just can't do the one thing I wanted to do, so now I can't do anything. And this is just such a beautiful reminder that we might not be able to do everything, but we can do something, and we should be doing that something that we can do. What do you guys think of this story? I would really like to, I'm going to look into him more because I want to follow his journey and I want to see the different places he goes and stuff. But I really like stuff like that. I really like, the people that are out there making beautiful artwork with their feet because maybe they lost an arm, or they lost control of their arm, or they had nerve damage in their arm, or the man who wrote an entire book by blinking and had someone transcribe that for him. So I just think that there are so many opportunities. We all have opportunities. We might be limited, but we still have opportunities. David says, I love the sparkly Amanda earrings. I love it. You got your little highlighted message. I was wondering how that works. So if you're member here on the channel, one of the perks is you get a highlighted message in stream, and you also get the little icon by your name. So on anything you post on my channel, it'll have the little icon by the name, and you can use special emojis here that are only available to members. So I'm glad that that worked out. I was really curious how that worked, David. He has been a member for a month since I started the membership. I love it. And thank you. Thank you. These earrings were actually, I just got a sponsorship with Temu, and these earrings were one of the things that I got to choose. And I'm not gonna lie, when I accepted the sponsorship, I looked at the website and thought, I'm not sure that this stuff is going to be the quality I want it to be, but I gave it a shot, and the stuff is actually really high quality. I was shocked. So I'm really excited for that sponsorship. And they ended up sending me an NSYNC shirt. So they gave me a certain amount that I could spend, and I did that and got some clothes and some accessories and stuff. But then separately from that, they ended up sending me an NSYNC shirt. So I guess they've actually watched the channel or actually seen something that has indicated to them that, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was so in love. I was so grateful. I was so happy for that. You can never have enough NSYNC shirts in this household. That's why the camera is shaking. I was trying to figure out why the camera is shaking. My chair was up against the desk. Simon says, rising to the challenge, what I've been trying to do the past 12 months, and you will, my love. You have the strength. You just have to find that reason. And I think it's interesting because the insane thing about feeling like we're losers or we're failures, because when we're in that dark place, that's what our shadow starts telling us is we're losers, we're failures, whatever the shadow tells us. The only way that we can prove to the shadow that that isn't true is to push through the doubt, to push through those limitations. Even when it feels so strong, like we're pushing and it just feels like that shadow is so strong that our muscles are shaking and they're screaming at us that we're being ridiculous and that voice in our head is right. We have to keep pushing. We have to tell it that not having knowledge just makes us teachable. It doesn't make us stupid. It makes us teachable. If we don't have the body that we want to have, it just means that we're clay, that we can sculpt. It doesn't mean that we're just something to give up on. I think that it's like I've always told Bryson, the magic word when you're doing this, when you're in this mind spiral is yet. So if it's, I can't, like, I haven't lost that weight yet. I can't figure this out yet. There's always a yet. Like, I haven't been able to stop certain behaviors yet because you haven't found the solution. You haven't found the habit to replace it with that's going to effectively allow you to eradicate that original habit. But there's always a yet. It's never I'm not able to do that. It's just I'm not able to do that yet. There are certain things, obviously, that we are bound by the laws of physics. But when it comes to I'm not a writer. I'm not a good writer. Okay, you're not a good writer yet. Go take a writing class. If your dream is to write a book, go take a class. Hire an editor. Do what you have to do, but you're not there yet. You're not a published author yet. Whatever your goals or dreams are. Always put that yet on the end. And yet is the word I throw in my shadow's face every single freaking chance I get, because then it allows you to focus on challenges, or it allows you to focus on and to challenge the shadow because you're focusing on the wins. So you're focusing on your little wins. You're focusing on challenging the things that it tells you. So when it's telling you, hey, you're not good at this. Okay, well, now I'm going to do something that proves that wrong. So I remember when I first started learning French, and I went, oh my God, I can't do this. This is impossible. I am way too old to be learning a language. People say that you can't learn a language when you're older. You have to learn it when you're a kid, or you have to be able to go and immerse yourself completely. C'est pas vrai. Tu peux apprendre une autre langue. C'est ton honneur. C'est pas du tout vrai. Alors, évidemment, je peux parler français maintenant. Evidently, I can't speak French now, obviously, and it's just not true. It's not true. It's a rumor. It's ridiculous. So I had to, instead of focusing on, okay, well, how how do I just speak French? Because that's not how it works, right? So every time I would stumble, the shadow would go, see, you can't do this. You don't understand this video. You don't understand this book. You don't understand this. You can't talk. You can't do this. The shadow is doing that whole number in the back of my head. And I would have to focus on the little wins. Well, you know what? I learned 3 new words today. You know what? I figured out how to conjugate that verb. You know what? I understood a little bit more of that video than I did last time. So it was proving to my shadow, look, I can understand French. So whatever it is that your shadow is trying to tell you, you can't do, find little things that you can do along the way. So if it's, I can't write, freaking watch me. So having ways to prove the shadow wrong. And eventually you will get to the point where you can do those things with more confidence. Pauline French fries. David says, tattoos are how I sculpt myself, my way of taking back my body from disease. That's beautiful. I love that for you. Master Ganja says, in your opinion, is a bad thing I call my son knucklehead or bonehead as a term of endearment? I mean, as I was saying earlier, it really depends on that person. I don't know your son. My son, I can call him butthead sometimes and he thinks it's cute, or I call him seaweed brain because we've been reading Percy Jackson and that's Annabeth's term of endearment for Percy. So I call my son that sometimes, but he receives it well. And we've talked about it, you know? So I think it's another one of those things that instead of assuming that they will or won't be okay with it, just saying, hey, how does it make you feel? You know that I'm just playing, right? You know that I'm this is something between us, but if it ever makes you feel uncomfortable, let me know. I mean, I know that it seems like, oh my gosh, everybody's getting offended about everything, but words are powerful. And when we're talking to someone, we want to make sure that we're being impeccable with our word in a way that they receive, because everyone loves differently. Everyone receives things differently. Everyone communicates differently. So the exact words that you say could be perceived completely differently by 5 people. And that's not saying any of those 5 people are wrong. It's just that their experiences have led them to interpret things differently. So for example, there are certain things that I have taken from my emotionally abusive relationships that I've been in that are still triggers for me. So if someone starts ridiculing me personally as a person, starts calling me fat or whatever the case is, or just kind of poking the bear in those ways, I will take that personally because I've been through that kind of abuse. So even if somebody's saying it in a joking way, I can take it very personally because I've been through that abuse. And even if I know they're kidding, it's just almost instantaneous reaction. And I do work on it, but that's something that I have to do in my own time and in my own way, right? So we never know what somebody's been through that might make them interpret something differently. So for example, if your son was being bullied in school and he was getting called names all the time and he just hasn't talked to you about that, then him being called names at home, even in good fun, could be really upsetting. So just asking him, honestly, hey, we're cool about this, right? You enjoy this, right? You know that I love you and we're doing this out of fun, right? You can call him Junior like most people, but he hates being called Junebug. Mike Couch's NSYNC is the best boy band, and Backstreet Boys were pretty good as well. You know, when I was 13, you had to choose sides. There was like this war of boy bands and you had to choose sides. So I couldn't like Backstreet. So I literally hid my Backstreet Boys albums, literally hid my CDs because you weren't allowed to like both. So Hugh Lannon says, oh boy, my wife will say stuff and be like, what, are you butthurt? Now you gonna cry? That sounds like a red flag. I don't know your marriage, but that sounds like it could potentially be a red flag unless that's just the rapport you have with your wife. That is not the communication that I would hold in high regard as far as a relationship. So I want to get on to our community wins before it gets too late into the conversation. So for those of you that have not been here before, I post over in the community a couple days before these streams so that you guys can share your mental health wins, and then I will read them here on stream and do the Snap Cup, which is inspired by Legally Blonde 2. It's just a way of sharing some warm fuzzies with each other, and it comes with a song. So Snap Cup time, gather ye round, friends and foes together, united and bound. Pass it to your neighbor instead of blowing up, and you'll find harmony and love in a snap cup. Am I getting better, Mick? Are my snaps getting better here? Hello from Italy. Danielle says she's from Italy. Whoop. One at a time. Okay, Loud Pet 636 says, I hung out with a friend. Excellent way of just getting in some positive time to help build us up. You know, our friends should be the ones that are building us up and that are helping us to see the best versions of ourselves. And sometimes it's nice just to relax and spend time with them. So big snaps for that. Look at Aaron flexing his little wolfie things over here. Oh, David too, flexing our little wolfie emojis. Why couldn't I think of the word emoji? Oh gosh. So big snaps to you, Loud Pet. I'm glad you got top 10 with your friend. Okay, Gabriel Loria says, I have reduced my consumption of candy bars and soda while increasing my consumption of water and fresh fruit. Huge for the mental health. When sugar for me, I can tell, I didn't used to be like this. So I was raised drinking, I wasn't allowed to drink soda or have certain foods or dyes or stuff for a period of time in my youth. But then it got to the point where my parents just said, nah, whatever. And I was drinking so much sugar and stuff that I didn't really notice the difference. But when I cut out sugar and stuff, now if I have sugar, I can feel the difference with my anxiety, with my depression symptoms, because when I crash, I will get depressed. So we can get used to it. We can get used to the sugar and stuff so we don't notice it, but sugar absolutely affects your mental health. It causes inflammation, number one, and it sends signals up to the vagus nerve, up through the vagus nerve and into the brain that something's wrong because something is wrong. It's messing up your blood sugar. So that is an excellent switch. I say one of the biggest suggestions I make to people when they're looking to get into better shape or to improve their mental health, I say, pay attention to what you're drinking as well as what you're eating, because a lot of people don't pay attention to their drinks, or they'll drink, say, Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi or whatever, which has aspartame in it, which is still really bad for you and has actually been linked to cancer. I say pay attention to what you're drinking, because there can be a lot in there that can be affecting your mental health. So excellent, big wins for Gabriel. I'm very proud of you for making that transition and being able to have such a big win this week. So big snaps to you for that. Everybody love everybody flexing the little wolfy emojis. Anthony J. Adventure says, today I completed day 4 of training to become a crew leader in the traffic control company I work for, getting a company truck again, a raise, and I'm also adult first aid, CPR, and AED certified again. Life is getting better. I love to hear this, Anthony, because I know as of a couple months ago, you were really, really struggling and there was a lot going on, some health news and things like that. And I love that you're getting things back together. You're moving forward, and I like that you acknowledge that things are getting better. You might not be exactly where you want to be again, but you got a raise, you're getting a truck, you got this new position, and a leader position at that. So this is huge. I'm really happy to hear you moving forward and and getting those wins in that arena, because I know that was really important to you, that you were really financially struggling there for a bit. So I'm glad that you were able to do that. And it's interesting because this is what my dad always said, is don't give up hope, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And Anthony, you were talking a few months ago about not knowing how you were going to go on, not knowing what you were going to do, and being so afraid and having so much anxiety. And here you are with this leadership position, being able to get this training and stuff and a raise. And that just goes to show that we can move out of these dark seasons. We can get to the other side of them. David Gap says, took my 89-year-old widowed neighbor out for breakfast this morning. I bet that was so special for them, because in our society, because we are more of an individualist society as opposed to a collectivist society, unfortunately, one of the effects of that is our elders tend to get ignored and tend to get forgotten many times, or they might lose their family and their loved ones, and people just kind of forget about them because we don't have that same tribal mentality that a lot of other societies have. And I can speak from experience because I grew up, my mom was a activity director in a nursing home, and I was a caregiver several times, and in my adult life. And I can tell you without a doubt in my mind that that meant the world to them, just being remembered and having someone check in on them and have someone treat them like that. That's beautiful, and I'm really happy for both of you. Hi, Edward. Scorpio, so Warrior Poet says, lately I've been helping a few people in Discord with anxiety and panic attacks. Thank you for that. David, do you want to drop the Discord for anybody that wants to go join so you can hang out between the live streams? I'm not in there a whole lot. I try to check in every now and then, but for those of you that don't know, the Discord is an area where you can talk to each other between these streams. So lately I've been helping a few people in Discord with anxiety and panic attacks, having known what it feels like to not have someone to talk to when I've had my countless episodes. Being able to be there for these people is rewarding to me. I'm so happy to hear that. I told my therapist about this the other day during my appointment, and she said something to me that blew my mind. She suggested that I, become a therapist. Oh, so now I'm pondering this. Maybe I've already walked through the door into the next chapter of my life without realizing it. Yes. There's a saying, first you do what is necessary, then you do what is impossible. Suddenly you find that you're doing the impossible. Felt like sharing that quote with everyone here so that they may get something out of it. Love you all. Beautiful quote, beautiful reminder. And it's true that this kind of reminds me of my own journey, because I did end up going back to school and I got my associates in psychology, and this fall is my last semester for my bachelor's, and then probably going to move on to my master's. But it did come full circle where it was, okay, right now I'm in survival mode and I'm doing what I have to do to create a foundation. And then the necessary, as you were saying. And then it's, okay, now I am sharing my story. I'm doing what is possible, right? And then now I'm moving more into I want to lean into this career. I want to lean into this field. I want to be able to really help other people. I want to be able to teach them how to heal. I want to be able to do these things. I want to be able to change the law so I can get my felony expunged. And we can do the impossible. It's actually very interesting that we're talking about this during the Snap Cup song, or the Snap Cup time, because at the end of the second Legally Blonde, there's a song that it's on my playlist, on my Raise the Vibes playlist, called We Can by Leanne Rimes. And it says, we can do the impossible. And it's so uplifting to me, because I think that we're limited by our own limiting beliefs. I was told that I'd never walk. I was told so many things. I was told so many restricting things in my life. I was told I'd never get decertified as having a serious mental illness. I love proving people wrong. Make it your life freaking mission to prove these people wrong. I love this idea, Warrior Poet. I really do, because once we start healing, we're the best people to share that with other people. Most mental health professionals don't have the experience. And I think that when you can come out of that darkness and then take the buckets of water back to the people in hell to help them get through that, to help them put out their own fires and stuff, I think that we make the best mental health advocates. We make the best professionals, if that's where we want to go. But we make the best advocates because we get it and we've been there. And I would argue that that experience is more important than anything a book can teach. And I can say that because I've been reading them all. So I think I take that back. I don't think that it's more important, but I think it's equally as important. And I really wish that there were more mental health professionals that did have practical experience with depression or anxiety or whatever the case is. It hurts so much. It's so terribly difficult to relate to someone who doesn't get it at all, who just doesn't understand at all. Just FYI, we are 15 minutes from the end, and we're 210 out of our 250 goal for our pledges. So we're almost there. I think we'll get there. And we're probably going to run over because, well, we have a lot of amazing wins. So big snaps to you, Warrior Poet. Thank you for sharing that quote and for sharing with us, because I think, yeah, I think sometimes we don't realize when the season's changing. We don't realize when we're moving into that next chapter because it blends so seamlessly. But allow yourself to move into the next chapter. Jake Smith says, I start my 2-week vacation next week. There are so many things I want to do during that period, like work on a couple video game and mental health projects, as well as spend as much time with Kim as possible. Big snaps to you for being able to get away. I'm in a vacation between semesters right now, and I'm using that to kind of overhaul a whole lot of stuff here in the community, which I'll be talking about more in the next couple of weeks. But I'm just revamping some stuff, overhauling some stuff. I'm really excited about it. It's just been really re-sparking that fire, and I've loved it. I am wanting to branch out in the content that I post and stuff and expand upon some of the services that we provide here. Hi, Olas. And it is totally okay that you're late. Remember, a wizard is never late, nor is he early. So big snaps to you, though, Jake. And I think that it's important, like me, I've gotten into the show You here in the last couple weeks. I'm only about 5 episodes in, but actually here in the last week. It's important to be doing things on your vacation that are enjoyable and that are just pure relaxation. I will watch an episode every couple days of the show, or I took a violin, or I'll take a bath, or I watch my soap opera. I have things that I just enjoy doing, and incorporating that into the work, incorporating that into the projects. Even though I love doing the projects too, I have to have some kind of balance there. Even though, spicy opinion, I don't think there is a real true work-life balance in the sense of things being, okay, we're going to put 25% here and 25% here. And that's not how it works. Sometimes you're going to put 100% into this basket, and these other things are going to kind of have to take a back seat for a minute. And then you're going to shift that. I don't think there's really a true balance in the sense that people try to portray. So for example, with me, to say that I have this perfect balance between the community and school and my day jobs and my son, parenting and stuff, to say that I have a perfect balance between all those things. No, I try to put as much energy as I can into those things, but my energy shifts over time. So sometimes I'm going to be really focused on, say, finals week, and maybe me and my son aren't going to get to spend as much time during that week, but I'm showing him that it's important to pursue your education. It's important to pursue your dreams. It's important to help other people while still coming together as a family and doing things and making time for each other. But I don't think there's any real true balance as far as people try to say there is. Because I know a lot of people will try and guilt parents. I know mommy guilt as well as any of them, that people will try to guilt parents if they're not putting 100% into their kids. And number one, you can't give 100% to someone else if you're completely empty. You can't give 100% to anyone because you're draining yourself and emptying yourself. And that doesn't make you a good parent either, because that's not showing a good example of that you should be taking care of yourself, that you are always a priority, because that will perpetuate that cycle when the kids get older, So it's very important that we are looking at things on a broader scale. Thank you so much. Chris says, my birthday was August 5th and my sober anniversary was August 9th. I haven't had a drink in 15 years. This is my win for the week. Huge win. We just hit our goal, although every dime is still, of course, going to go toward that outreach and stuff. But huge snaps to you for your anniversary. Happy birthday. I know I'm almost a week late, but happy birthday. I'm so happy that, like I was saying with Brian, you made it another year and you've made it 15 years without a drink. That's huge, and I'm very proud of you. Edwards says, I think day-to-day balance can be challenging to find, but if you focus on all components of a healthy, balanced day over time, it should balance out. Like I said, I just don't think that things are ever going to be completely balanced in a sense that I'm spending the perfect amount of time in each category. I think that we find grounding. We find what works for us. And what works for me might not work for someone else. Maybe one person wants to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's where they want to put more energy than the other components of their life. So long as they're taking care of themselves and that's what makes them happy, great, I love that for them. But I know that wouldn't work for me because I want to continue my education. I want to have this community. I want to help people. So I don't think that I could be a good mom if I was trying to put all of my energy toward him. Now, he's my top priority, don't get me wrong, but I do have other priorities. I do have other parts of my identity that are important to me. And sometimes those other things are going to take up a little more time. And sometimes I'm going to put those things in the back burner so we can have more time together and binge through a Percy Jackson book. So it's just a matter of seeing what is important, day to day, and finding overall, I suppose if there's a balance, it's because there's an overall balance, not because we're trying to split things perfectly evenly day to day to day, because things just aren't going to get split perfectly evenly. So that's why I was coming out with the balance situation. OJ and Wildfire ask, how did you meet Eric Bischoff? I actually met him at a convention I went to nearby here. Let me tell that story real fast. I went to a convention where it was him and Hulk Hogan and Sting. I grew up obsessed with wrestling. It was my bonding experience with my dad. And after the con, it was really interesting because I went thinking I want to feel close to my dad, right? I need to feel close to my dad. I'm going to have this crazy experience where the angels are going to sing and there's going to be lights and glitter. And that's what I was expecting because I've watched way too many TV shows and movies. So I had this touched by an angel thing in my head where there's just going to be an angel that appears with the light on them and told me that my dad was still here and everything. And when I left, I was actually really disappointed. I cried and cried and cried because I just didn't feel what I thought I'd feel. And I posted the pictures, like a good little 2018 at the time, like a good, I'm not a millennial. What the hell am I? I don't remember. I never remember the millennial gens. I think I'm a millennial, but I remember posting the pictures and I just went to bed, right? And my friend ended up messaging me the next morning, or he commented on the pictures, it was on Facebook, and he said, I bet that was a really awesome experience, meeting Stinger and everything. Your dad would be so proud of you. And he said, I work with Eric's wife and they're so sweet. She's so sweet. I said, wait a second. You work at the school I used to go to. And then the pieces kind of clicked together that Eric's wife, Lori, had been my life coaching teacher when I went to, it's called SWEHA. It's a school here, Southwest Institute of Healing Arts. Eric's wife had been my life coaching teacher. So I reached out to her and then we ended up reconnecting that way. Nathan, thank you so much. Nathan says, here's 20 toward the goal. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to put this on here too so it adds it up. I appreciate it so much. And then David pledged another 20. Saying, my friend struggles with the mommy guilt, yet she is still the best mother anyone can be. I hope she hears the stream. I hope she does too. Mommy guilt's a real thing, and I don't think that dads have that quite as much. Maybe they do when it comes to finances and stuff, like not being able to support their family because of a job loss or something. I know they have probably what's the equivalent of daddy guilt there, but moms are really freaking mean to each other. They can be so vicious to each other. I remember when I went on a 9-day trip to Europe back in 2015. So Bryson was 4. And mind you, he was perfectly taken care of. He was with his, not biological grandparents, but people that he sees as his grandparents. He has his whole life. And he was with them. And he got to stay with them for 9 days and had a blast. But I got the nastiest messages of, how dare you abdicate your parenting responsibilities and you're a terrible mom. And what? My kid was taken care of. I had the means to do so. He wasn't doing without me anyway. It's not like I was spending his food budget on going to Europe or anything, but people are really vicious and you can't let other people's opinions control your life, because somebody's going to disagree. Somebody's going to think you're a failure and a terrible person. And you have to build a high enough image of yourself to be able to combat that, to be able to say, well, that's your opinion. That's fine. You're allowed to have that. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has them. Some stink. So you have to be able to do that. Alrighty. Ashley Carper says, my sister was in a really bad car accident and broke her radius in 15 pieces. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I went with her to surgery today and she's getting the best of care. That's good. It's not really a win, but I'm just glad it wasn't worse and she's already battling cancer. Wow, that's a lot. I'm really happy for you. It is a win. It's a win that she was able to get care, that you were able to be there for her. Those are absolutely wins. Big snaps to both of you. And I hope that she heals. I hope that she is able to find treatment for her cancer that helps her go into remission, that helps her stay comfortable or as comfortable as possible. So I'm happy that she was able to get that treatment, that you were able to be there for her. So thank you. And I will be sending all of my love and energy to you guys. David says, a worn down and burnout person cannot take care of another person. Your children will know if you're struggling and it hurts them too. So take care of yourself. True. Absolutely true. Tony says, a few wins for the week. Number one, my 10-year-old son, Colin, was here overnight for the third weekend in a row. Love that. For those that don't know, my ex kept them from coming to the house for almost 7 months. Long story. Nothing exciting occurred. Just movie marathons and baseball. Sometimes that's the best thing, though, is just having some chill time. It is the little things in life that mean the most. Absolutely. Even though I see it as just being there for family, I have saved 8 lives. They have all told me in the last 2 weeks. Whoa. I noticed certain messages on many different message boards, and I found myself channeling the stuff I learned here from the channel, as well as what I have done to keep my light on. While I can't turn the 4 brothers I have lost lights back on, I refuse to let anyone turn theirs off, and in some cases I was up all night, but well worth it. I have used everything from praying, reading scripture, to just lending an ear, was dependent of the individual, and have channeled my inner Chester and kept telling that even though they don't feel that anyone gives a damn, if they are around, I kept repeating, who cares if your light goes out? Well, I do. I'm so proud of these 8 people for having the strength to continue battling the demons known as mental illness. Thank you so much for being there for these individuals. I'm glad that we can offer insight or support in any way. They are welcome here in the community. I'm very happy for you that you're getting time with Colin and that you are able to offer the support for these people. And I like that you're saying that you're basing your support to them on what they need. Like, some of them might need scripture, some of them might not be believers, and they might just need someone to talk to. And that's really amazing. I think that is a big sign of empathy when we can meet people where they're at. So even though I'm not a believer, if that's what somebody wanted, if that's what made them feel comforted in that moment where they're in that darkness, I will absolutely read the Bible with you. If that's what you want, if that's what makes you feel better, I will absolutely do that with you. So I love that. And that's very beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Hi, Ben. Ashley says it's been a busy weekend for sure. I can see that. Don't forget to take time to breathe and take time for yourself. Could be gayer. Love it. Says, I'm going back to school to get my GED and doing a cosmetology career course as well to get certified. I'm getting paid to do both things, so it'll take a bunch of stress off my plate. I love that you're having that opportunity and that you're just doing anything, having any opportunity to get stress off the plate. Big win there. Absolutely happy for you. Your screen name makes me smile. So I am going to need a new hairstylist. So if you were ever over here, please let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I wish you luck with your schooling and your cosmetology licensing. Allah says, I feel like people are always infantilizing women no matter what they do. It's never right. They really do. It's very frustrating. I've gotten to the point where I know what my definition of a good mom is. I know what that looks like to me. So I strive for that. And when I do that, I can shut out the noise of other people saying, well, you're not good enough and you don't do this and blah, 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 blah. You know, my kid's not sitting on a tablet the whole entire dinner, that they are out with their family too. So I think I'm doing just fine. I read with my kid every night. We spend plenty of quality time together. He eats healthy. He has limits on screen time. He's active. He's a very gentle, loving soul, and I think that I am doing just fine. So there are certain things that I kind of take personally when people insult me. That's not one of them. That's definitely not one of them. You can say a lot of things about me, but calling me a bad mom just kind of makes me chuckle a little. RX Doc says, I got my psychiatrist to commit to releasing me back to work next week. I'm still skeptical until I have the paper in my hand on Tuesday, but this is better than I have been able to get out of him lately. Honestly, being off so long has made me I think it's supposed to say worse. I now have anxiety that was never there before. I'm very glad that they're releasing you, that you're going to be able to move back towards something that truly helps you. You're not the first person I've heard that has said this, that winds up in a situation because of a mental health professional that makes things worse. I've personally been there. When my mom passed away, I ended up getting put on a hold on they tried to put me on a 72-hour hold. And I said, I don't know anyone here really. And keep me here and allow something to happen to my dogs, one of which is the last living thing of my mother. And then I will get depressed. Then I will start having those urges. Then things are going to get really, really, really dark. And they ended up releasing me after less than 24 hours. But I don't think that they focus on what is best in the long run when they're trying to keep you safe. And I completely understand that there is a time and place for being committed and stuff, because sometimes that person is a danger to themselves. But I don't think that they really have protocols in place that are particularly effective for saying, okay, you know what, this person isn't a danger to themselves. And at this point, keeping them here is a net negative. And I can completely empathize with that situation. I hope that you are able to get out, like I said, and get back to doing what it is that makes you feel better. In the meantime, work on your anxiety management. Just work on being able to utilize skills, like build your skill set while you're still in there to work through those symptoms of anxiety, because it will be very helpful when you get out and when things come up in the future. So I have a video on here. So if you are having anxiety and stuff, I'm assuming you're able to get here on the channel because you're posting. I do have a video that is meant to help with anxiety and panic attacks if you need to listen to that. And just like I said, work on your anxiety and stress management skills while you're in there. And I will cross my fingers for you that you can get out and pursue the things that will help you heal. Just make sure you are pursuing those things that help you to heal. Have a good night, Tony. Oh, I think we only have one left. Yep, last one. Charles Berger says, made it through hernia surgery, went in nervous, but as time went by, I was ready to go. Funny how that works, isn't it? Big snaps to you for making it through surgery. But it's interesting how that works. I've had that happen too, where you build something up so much and you're so scared of it. And then as it gets closer, you go, oh, okay. Or when it happens, what was I worrying about? That wasn't so bad. And one of the quotes up on my wall is, my philosophy is worrying means you have to suffer twice. It's Newt Scamander from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And it's so true that we put ourselves through so much more anxiety worrying about things, like so much more stress and pain and frustration worrying about things. And I know it's not as easy as just turning that off, but sometimes reasoning with ourselves and saying, you know what, I'm in capable hands. These doctors have really good reviews. They've gone through a lot of schooling for this. They do this all the time. And really reasoning with ourselves can go a long way to calming our nerves a little bit. It doesn't make them go away entirely, but I've been in that situation where I've definitely had to talk myself down and say, you know what, I remember once some of the best advice that actually interestingly diffused my situation was, I was so scared of having an anxiety attack on a plane. And in another situation, this ended up helping in, was I was also very scared because I had to go in for surgery, but I was really scared because I was afraid that I was going to have a panic attack on a plane. And a good friend of mine said, Okay, so you have a panic attack. You make a complete fool of yourself in front of all these people in this plane. Guess what? You're never going to see them again. You don't have to deal with them ever again. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to freak out and scream and cry and think you're going crazy for a bit, and then you'll probably crash out and sleep for a while. But it was just interesting that, so, okay, I'm going to have a panic attack. Okay, the surgery is going to be uncomfortable. Okay, I'm going to have a reaction to anesthesia. That was my big fear, was having a reaction to anesthesia. It's okay. What if that happens? What if that happens? What's the worst that can happen, right? I that really made a big difference to me, is often saying, okay, so that's going to happen. All right. That's worst case scenario is I have a panic attack, or worst case scenario, there's a complication that needs to be dealt with. That's fine. It really helped me. Master Ganja says, curious, Amanda, do you think making people laugh is a good way to help people fight their demons? I think that it can be a skill in the toolbox. I think that there's a time where it's appropriate and a time where it's not. My son, that's his go-to. He really likes to make people laugh. He really wants to see people smile. So if you're struggling with something, his go-to is to try to make you laugh. And while that might be appropriate if I'm just having a bad day, or maybe I lost a client, like I lost one of my dog clients or something, and I'm feeling pretty bummed about it, right? That might be a time where you make somebody laugh. Or maybe I just got a B on a test, right? And he's just trying to make me laugh. That might be appropriate. But if somebody is really deep in that darkness, like they are in a really deep depression, maybe they're struggling with addiction, maybe they're struggling with grief or trauma, I mean, again, you can feel that person out, but for the most part, if somebody's really deep in the darkness, that's not my go-to unless I know them well enough to know that I might be able to make some leeway that way. I do have a friend that she just likes to laugh, and that's her thing. Sometimes she'll get into a lot of she'll be undergoing a lot of stress, and that'll create a lot of anxiety, and she'll just be in a bad situation. And she's okay. I've known her for decades, and I know that she's okay with me trying to make her laugh or trying to make her smile. But I have another friend that if I did that exact same thing in the exact same situation, she would be really upset with me because it would feel invalidating to her. So I kind of always err on the side of caution that if it's something small and kind of mundane, then yeah, make them laugh. But if it's something bigger, or if they're really struggling with true, genuine depression, it might come off as patronizing or even invalidating. So we went over our goal. Our goal was 250. We got 300. So thank you guys very much. I'm excited to see what we can do in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited what we can do with this. It's just so rewarding. Like I always say, it's just the thing about the channel that makes me the happiest is being able to do this. And I've been finding more and more content. I've been really enjoying doing the shorts, kind of breaking it up a little bit. So I'm not doing all reactions, doing the shorts, doing the therapy fails and stuff. So I'm glad that we're able to diversify so much and have the philanthropy aspect and have the music aspect and have the awareness aspect. So I'm glad that we're able to have so many different facets of the channel and so many different faces of the channel. Master Ganja says, I convinced 8 of my veteran friends to go seek help and prevented their suicides. Big snaps to you. Look, between you and Tony, that's 16 people right there that are still here because of us. So big snaps to you. Yeah, Mick just did another 20 for making the goal. Mick, you're a Guggenheimer, as my dad would say, but I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. Edward says, congrats to everyone on your wins. Yes, big congrats to everyone. Master Ganja says, in my opinion, 22 a day is 22 too many. Agreed. I keep reflecting on more and more ways to help vets. And I have to say that I'm always especially touched when the outreach can in some way help veterans, because I mean, they've offered so much to us, and in a way it's my way of honoring my dad, you know, when I can find a veteran like Scotty and be able to help him and connect with my dad in that way. Alrighty. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much again for holding space for me today when I was sharing something that just it didn't even upset me. It was just one of those things that I have to share this. I have to say this because I don't want people inadvertently doing things that might make me a little on edge for no reason. What's the point of that, right? What's the point of not just saying, hey, let's shift this? So I'm glad that we were able to shift that. I'm glad we were able to have open and honest conversation. I'm very happy for everyone's wins. I'm very appreciative that we hit our goal. And I love that you guys are in here talking to each other and communicating, kind of networking and getting to know each other and supporting each other here in the chat. So if I don't see a message, I'm really confident that you guys are over here advocating for each other and loving each other and supporting each other. So that also makes me very happy. Chris says, I do have another small win. Even in spite of having a busy weekend, I was able to get my walks in and I walked 11 miles. Wow. Big snaps to you for that. And I'm very happy that you were able, I'm proud of you that you were able to stick to that even despite being busy. I also wanted to say real fast, I noticed that there were a couple people in the community section on the wins post that were saying, well, I don't have any wins because this is happening to me or that's happening to me. And like with Ashley, where Ashley was talking about, hey, my sister was in this accident, had multiple fractures in her radius and is going through cancer treatment. There's still wins in that. And even if you're going through a hard time, it might be harder to find those little wins, but it's more important than ever not to have that, well, everything's great and everything's fine. And look at me, it's just all rainbows and sunshine. But understanding that even in the darkest times, there's still light. There's still that little tiny thing. I remember when my mom died, fuck the world. I hated the world. I hated everything in it. I was rock bottom depressed. I did not want to be on this planet. I did not want to do anything. But I remember when I was in the hospital and there was an orderly that, despite the fact that the other nurses were telling me that I needed to shut up and that I needed to just get over it because there were people in there with, I kid you not, quote unquote, real emergencies, that there was one orderly, one nurse that went outside with me and sat there and ended up talking to me for a long time. And there was another, he was the EMT that was transferring me from the hospital to the psych ward. And he gave me his number. He was married with a baby on the way. He was not trying to harm me in any way, but he gave me his number and said, hey, if you want to come have dinner with me and my wife, just so you have some support and stuff, make sure to give me a call. And I did. And we had dinner a couple times and hung out. And then I never saw him again, but he made all the difference. Those little tiny wins in the darkest time of my life were still there. There was still something. My world was falling apart. Again, like I said, I did not want to be here, but I still had those little tiny wins. So I implore you to look for the little wins, or maybe to create the little wins, create those little itty bitty teeny tiny wins, even if they're going to pale in comparison to what's going on. Just find or create those little itty bitty teeny tiny wins, because they can make all the difference. I still to this day remember those people that did have my back when my mom passed. I was in a new town. I didn't know anyone, but the maintenance guy at my apartment complex ended up coming and sleeping on the floor of my apartment and watching movies with me the night my mom passed away, because I don't think I would have made it. I don't think I could have made it through the night without him. We didn't keep in touch over the years. We didn't facilitate a relationship, but there's these people that were there and that made a difference to me. And I had my dogs, I had enough food to get by. I was able to get her last check so I could pay the bills that month. So there's always some kind of win. I always implore you guys, look for or create the wins, even when it seems like everything is really dark. With that being said, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Mwah.